Hello, I'm Mark Nanaman. Today, let's talk about how to create a line chart in Power Automate and send it in an email report. So line charts are a great way to visualize data over time, particularly numbers like amounts, currency amounts over time for like a sales report or something like that. And that's what we're going to do here in this example. I've got a database I created of orders and total sales amounts for each order, and I just generated a bunch of random data over a year or so time range. And to get a chart in Excel, now of course you can do this in Power BI, but here I'm going to show you how to do this in Power Automate using Excel Online without Power BI. So we have to get our data into Excel, and basically we need, at the most, you need your order, you need a date for each record, and you need an amount, some sort of value that you're going to chart on the y-axis, and the x-axis will be the date. And then you need to create a pivot table to categorize it a little bit. Otherwise, you'll just get a bunch of points for each date that occurs in the database. So here we create a pivot table, and it's broken down into years, quarters, and months. And then we've got the sum of the amount in the second column. And then if we just click Insert Line, you can choose whichever line chart you want. It'll create a line chart off of your pivot chart. And then you can tweak it to get it looking as you like. In this example right here, I've got a trend line added as well. So that's how you do it manually. But using Excel scripts, using the TypeScript function here in Excel under Automate, we can create this chart automatically. And not only that, we can return the image of it to the Power Automate flow and then put that into an email report that goes out on a schedule. So to get started to do this, if you want to do it yourself, is you need to find a SharePoint site and a folder in your SharePoint site to store your Excel file that this will run off of. I've created a file here in Excel in SharePoint. I just hit new and created a Excel online file, and I called it line chart. And I've got it open right here. And then you go to Automate, New Script, and you write your TypeScript to handle this process. I spent probably a couple hours, unfortunately, writing this TypeScript because I don't know TypeScript off the top of my head, but I spent some time writing this with the help of ChatGPT. I really struggled to create this one with ChatGPT. I had to go and read up some of the Microsoft reference on the Excel script here to get it working as I wanted to, but eventually we got there. But if you want to just copy this code from my blog post in the description below, feel free. It's there for you to use. So I'll give you a tour of this script right here as quick as I can. We start with this main function, and here we're defining our inputs that come in. So we do an input array. So this will be a 2-column array that comes in. One column is called date, and it's a string. Another column is called value, and that's a number. I did it like this to keep it abstracted so that I could use it for other data sets that I want to chart, not just an orders or sales table that I have. I could, any data set I have that has a date column that I would like to be the x-axis and some sort of numeric value column that I want to be the y-axis, I can pass it in to this script and get my chart. I also take an input for the chart title and the name of the date column and the name of the value column so that my chart is readable and doesn't just say date and value. After that, we've got various steps. I added this step 0 just because I didn't want to rename all my steps, but step 0 is cleanup, and that's basically deleting everything that's been added. And I put that here at the beginning instead of the end, just so that we can come in here and see the data to review after the script has run. Additionally, I did that for another reason, because I wanted to save a copy of this Excel file and put it in the email report that goes out. So that the email report will have an embedded line chart graph in it, and it will also have this Excel file attached to it. So that's step 0, cleaning up whatever was done before. So we're looking for the sheets and we're deleting them. We'll delete the old pivot table and the old data sheet if they're there. The next step is to create a data sheet. So that's the sheet right here. Then it creates some headers for a new table. So it's going to make a date column, a value column, and it's additionally going to add this year, month, and quarter. It's going to insert the headers. And now it's going to populate, it's going to manipulate the input array to create these year, month, and quarter values from the original date. So it's basically taking the date, parsing out the year, the month, and the quarter from each of those. That's what's happening right here. Then we take that updated array and we insert it here in this table on this sheet. That's what happens here in step 5 and 6. Step 7 is we add our pivot table. So it adds a sheet for pivot table, and then it defines the range of the data here that we want to add to the pivot table. And then it adds that and creates the pivot table. Next, we create the pivot chart. So it just adds a chart, and it uses a type line markers, and then it gets the layout from the pivot table and gets the range from the pivot table. It picks a position to place the chart, and it gives it a width and a height. I actually, the last time I looked at this, I thought it looked a little too wide, so I'm going to shrink it a little bit. That makes the lines go up more, and it looks like we're doing better. Even though according to this data, we're doing very well. We're making like a lot of money for my fictional aquarium business. And then here in this step, we are adding a trend line. So we're adding that dotted trend line here to the line chart. Here we set the title. We set it to the chart title input at the beginning that comes from Power Automate. Make the chart visible. Here we adjust the y-axis labels to be formatted like dollars. Otherwise, they come out as just raw numbers, and they're kind of hard to read because there's no thousands, comma separators. Next, we get the image of the chart. It's just .getImage. And here I'm hiding the first sheet, sheet 1. It's just a blank sheet, and I just hide that. And I activate the pivot sheet. I did that because I wanted the pivot sheet to be the starting sheet whenever you open the Excel file that's attached to the email. I haven't really gotten that to work so much, so reliably, so this might need to go. Finally, here we return the chart image to the Power Automate flow. All right, now we're here inside of our flow, and I just built a recurrence flow every week, Monday, 8 a.m. It's going to list my orders table. We're taking 5,000. We're ordering it by the date of the order descending, so it'll always be the latest 5,000 records. And here we create that fairly simple 2-column array of value and date. Just put the total amount field in for value and the order date field in for date. I'm also here doing a count, just counting how many records we have, because currently I don't have quite 5,000 or more, so it's less than that. So now we add the run script action, Excel Online run script. We point it to the SharePoint site, the document library, and then the file. And then here we select the script we want to run. In this case, it's called Pivot Table Line Chart. That's what I named it. You can name your script right here. And then I have to supply it with the input array. It'll look like this right here. which isn't super useful. So you always toggle it over to the whole thing. You just delete all this or select it all and then drop in a reference to the output of your select action where we made that array up here. Here's where I type in what I want the title of the chart to be. And here's what I want the x-axis to be labeled as. And here's where I want the y-axis to be labeled as. This is where I'm making a copy of the Excel file that gets updated by run script. So we just point to the exact same Excel file with get file content. And here's where I create the copy of the file if you want to save it in SharePoint. You could just attach it to the email, but if you want to have a folder archive, then what you can do is you can make one. I've got one here called line chart archive. And we can just point this to that archive. Down here, I construct a file content object for the chart image that we received from our run script up here. It just has a $ content property, and that's going to be for the base64 encoded content of the image, and that comes directly out of that run script. I can find it by going here and typing in something like chart image, I think. Body result chart image from run script, and that's what's there. And I give it a content type of image/PNG. Next, I compose the HTML for my email body. Right now, it's extremely simple. It just says, here's a sales history report for, and then I do a convert from UTC date time format of the current date. And then I have an image, HTML image element, just img src equals, and then inside of quotes, I have this expression that does data URI on the image content compose object here. So it takes the outputs of this and it encodes it for data URI. And then send an email. I send it to myself with the subject line, the body of the HTML that I compose here, that goes here in the body section. I don't know why it always does this. I place it in here in the HTML and it always wraps some more HTML around it. That's okay, it doesn't hurt anything. And then here under attachments, we put in the Excel file that we copied as an attachment. And I use this get file properties action to get the file name with extension. It's not strictly speaking necessary. We could remove this and just manually key in a file name or get it somewhere else. Just make sure it has .pdf or .xlsx at the end, and then put your file content for the Excel file. All right, how about we give this flow a test? All right, we've received our email report. And by making it a little thinner, it makes our line look like it's going up a lot more. We made quite a lot of money in January, $18 million. We're doing all right. We can click here and see the attached Excel file. All right, well, thanks for watching. That is how you create a line chart in Power Automate without Power BI, just using Excel Online and a TypeScript. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check out the blog post and description below if you want to use the code, and have a great day.